99% of people don't have a clue about those 7 brain racks. Stick with me, you will be a part of the 1% that knows. Welcome to this video, and here I will show you 7 brain hacks or 7 brain techniques that will allow you to learn new things and essentially achieve whatever you want to achieve, whatever is your challenge. All of those are scientifically based, so stick with me and I will show you how you can unlock your true potential using those brain racks. Alright, so here we go. Brain hack number 1, zone of proximal development. So this one was discovered by a pesky Russian scientist called Vygotsky. This is fairly known if you're dealing with education, so folks that work in the education field normally study that stuff, but we don't have access to this when we are coming about our challenges in normal life. And what is the zone of proximal development? Essentially it's like this. You're here, imagine that here you know everything, and you want to achieve a new skill, break through a new company that you're working on, or learn a new skill, learn a new thing. But in between and there that you don't know what's going to happen to you, there is a space where you're learning, where you're trying to achieve something that you're totally unfamiliar with. That's called the zone of proximal development. And what's the trick here so you can rewire your brain for learning? It's fairly simple. You need to find ways to support and propel you in the right direction that you want to go. And how that works. Normally, you need some sort of hand, you need some sort of help, you need some sort of challenge that is good enough for you to not be in your comfort zone, but it cannot be super hard to the point that you quit all the way the journey. You need to be able to start doing things slightly different that puts you in closer contact with where you're going, but you cannot be far behind or too far away from it, right? This will create what we call a spiral of learning, that every stop in the journey, you're a little closer to where you want to go, and that will allow you, like a staircase, going closer and closer, right? How can you use this brain hack for your own advantage? It's very simple. You need to find ways to give you challenges that are incrementally harder in the right direction, and that would allow you to overcome what you want to learn. I can give you a personal example. I'm learning how to record videos for YouTube. I'm doing this kind of content. I'm very familiar with this content, but never in front of cameras. So every day, every video recording allows me to be closer of this target of learning and mastering video techniques like you're seeing right here, right? So if I start right away trying to do a super production, that probably would break the zone of proximal development. So I will do it in step by step. And you can do and apply that to every single thing that you're doing. Say that you're starting to learn a new language. If you go from level 0, basic, pretty much you don't know anything in the language, and you try to go straight away for watching films and commentaries and very complex dialogues in the language, probably you'll not be able to do it. But if you start with a small piece of content, maybe shorter videos or easy songs with not complex lyrics, maybe a children content, you probably will be in a proximal development zone that will allow you to be much closer to your need, right? And to wrap up, the zone of proximal development of Vygotsky, it's when you put something that's just outside your zone of comfort, just outside your limits of your abilities, and that helps you to go there and achieve it, right? So apply that and try to challenge you for micro challenge. That will be excellent way to rewire your brain in the right direction so you can overcome and learn something new. Rack number 2, scaffolding. So scaffolding, it's a very useful rack if you're trying to learn a new thing. And how does it work? Well, it's very simple. Imagine that you're learning how to ride a bike. Most people that learn how to ride a bike, especially when they are children, they learn with those tiny little wheels that support you and avoid you to fall down. That's exactly the approach of scaffolding. You create a help, some sort of extra support when you're trying to learn a new skill, that will be there just to make it easy enough so you can practice. And as you practice, it is incorporated in you whatever ability you need to have, so you don't need the help anymore. So just like you're riding a bike and you start with those wheels to support you so you don't fall down until you learn balance and you learn how to pedal and keep your balance. When you learn, you can just drop the external wheels, those aid wheels, and then you'll be ready to ride your bicycle independently, right? It's the same approach, same idea. If you're learning, for example, keeping that idea of learning new language and you are reading subtitles all the time when you are hearing the language, that can be useful, and scaffolding would work something like that. You start watching a video, maybe with the video caption, subtitles in your own language, and as you learn and you get more vocabulary, you change the subtitles to the native language that to the language that you want to acquire, and eventually you won't need subtitles at all, so you can understand the video in this new language that you're looking for, right? I've used that personally a whole lot when I'm learning new language, right? I speak French, a little bit of French in intermediate level. I'm fluent in Portuguese native. I speak English and I speak Spanish as well. In language, I often use scaffolding technique because it allows me to have a grasp of the language, start to use it, but it's not so hard. And that rewires my brain. That helps me because I can, even if I'm not a master in the thing or I don't have full knowledge of it, I can still operate with these little helps, right? And that allows you to have a much better function in your brain. The key here for scaffolding to work is this assistant help that will be following you and guiding you through until you are very independent. Apply that, especially when you're learning a new skill, and that will give you a much better way to rewire your brain and learn, right? You can, for example, look now in your own practice and what you're looking forward to learn and overcome, what kind of help you could put into place right now that would allow you to establish your scaffolds so you can achieve the next level of what you're looking for, right? Hack number 3. The hack number 3 is very controversial. Fake it until you make it. That's hack number 3. So, you probably heard that a zillion times before. What nobody explains to you is the neuroscience behind of the fake it until you make it. And it's quite extraordinary. When we are trying to say that you want to become an entrepreneur, you have a 9-to-5 job and you're trying to become an entrepreneur and you're trying very hard to, I don't know, maybe pass as a consultant, and you never did consultants in your whole life, but then you start to impersonate that kind of consultant vibe, consultant approach, consultant persona, and as you are trying to be a consultant and getting new clients and incorporating that, if you do that, you're going to rewire your brain to pay attention how consultants behave, what kind of clothing, what kind of personal brand, what kind of approach they have. And that creates in your brain new pathways that will rewire. So one day you are actually incorporating that very thing that you were just once trying to impersonate. I remember back in the day when I was serving as lifeguards in the YMCA camps, I was not a lifeguard before I took on those jobs. I took a training, a quick course in lifeguarding. But I remember, you're gonna laugh at me because that's an old thing. Baywatch. I remember that I watched Baywatch and how those guys behave in terms of paying attention, what's happening, and posture, the readiness. And I started to incorporate that. Well, by the end of the summer, the first time that I worked as a lifeguard, I was ready. I was not only faking that I was a lifeguard, I was actually a lifeguard. I was able to do one rescue of a kid that fell down off a canoe, and that was a very practical example of faking it till you make it. I did not feel that the confidence of a lifeguard, but because I was trying to impersonate it, and I was paying attention in examples around me of real lifeguards and movies, even movies, stupid movies they watch, that helped me to incorporate the persona. So if you are maybe not feeling super 100% confident in what you're trying to become, experiment to create this persona and teach your body to lose itself in this archetype of what you're trying to become. That will eventually lead you to a much better grasp. And it's wonderful how our brain, when it's forced in that direction, it starts to incorporate new abilities to, well, essentially deliver what is required from it. All right, let's go to hack number 4. I love this one. Project-based learning. This hack number 4 is very powerful. Well, you only learn if you are doing it. If you are doing something that is for real, or very likely, the easiest path to learn anything is to have a project in the very thing you want to learn. Let me give you another concrete example. Want to learn a new language? Well, try yourself to just toss yourself in a new country that speaks the language you want to learn. If you don't know how to go to the bathroom, buy groceries or anything, I'm pretty sure that your brain will absorb those words very quickly, right? So, project-based learning, it's not new, but it's definitely a cheat code so you can increase and speed up multiple times the way that you're learning something, where you're acquiring skills, acquiring abilities. Easy to implement. You select what you want to learn. If you want to, say, again, open a new business, or if you want to learn how to dance, or if you want to learn, I don't know, how to create a chair, being a carpenter, you just do it. You grab the tools, you set yourself, you buy a package to travel to the country you want to learn, or if you, in the example of open a business, you actually go there and open a freaking business. You try, and you put yourself in a real life problem. That will align your skills, align your external resources, so you can actually start to produce something that is going to propel you in the right direction and absorb skills much faster. I am experiencing that right now. When I open a new YouTube channel, wow, there's no way to learn how to create without creating videos for YouTube. That's a quintessential project-based learning. Very practical. So I challenge you to write right now what's the biggest dream that you want to accomplish, and you take this dream and transform it in a real life project. Just that. And then you're gonna see how wonderfully you're going to focus in that direction and learn. Don't underestimate this stupid, simple hack. It's very efficient. Project-based learning it's something that has been around for a couple of decades, and it's essentially the difference between folks that are able to do very quickly and pivot in life very quickly and overcome full stretch in life because they are always focused on creating something concrete that helps you to align and to implement approach. Brilliant hack, very brilliant hack that I recommend. Excellent. Another point about project-based approach as a brain hack for you to accomplish things is that our brain does not thrive in tranquility. Our brain was evolved to deal with problems, issues, and very practical issues, right? Depending on what you believe, depending on your frame, your worldview, that brain that we have, coming from the origin that it came, it was always thinking about practical stuff, about where to get food, where to run from danger, where to find shelter. And those are practical projects. We thrive under the pressure of achieving something that's very important to us. Nothing has changed biologically, neurologically, related to that. So if you are in a point that you're feeling the pressure, you're feeling the urge of becoming something else, of achieving something else, of experiencing change in your life, now is the right moment you transform that not only in a distant goal, but in a project. The key here is to be practical about it. So implement right now the hack number 4. You're going to see how wonderfully you're going to align and achieve what you're setting forth to do. All right, let's go to hack number 5. Feedback loops are an amazing brain hack that works simply like this. You try to do something, you fail, you try again, you fail. Somewhere in this cycle of repeating, repeating, that will create for you the ability to overcome and find a different way to move forward. This is exactly the way that AIs are learning. Most AIs are learning, right? Think about that stupid AI vacuum robot. I hope that the AI overlords do not hear what I'm saying, that I'm bad-mouthing them. But those AI robots, vacuum robots, they go around the house, bump into every single piece of furniture, incredibly stupidly and slow, until they get it. So based on the repetition and reading the environment and committing mistakes, they map their way around the house so they can do their job of vacuuming it. And you know what? Humans work like that too. If you think of it, I remember an awesome scene of the 80s movie, Conan the Barbarian, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a scene in the movie that he gets his sword and he repeats the movement slashing and training with the sword, and it looks fluid, it looks amazing. You think that this guy was born to be a barbarian. Hey Arnold, I love your work. Well, anyhow, that scene took him around 1,000 times of repetition because that goddamn sword was, I think, 7 pounds, was very heavy. And he was not able to do it at all when he started doing the scene. It took him an awful long time to repeat until he mastered the movement. And when we see in screens that specific scene, it's very fluid, it's very beautiful because of that process, the feedback loop. You have a feedback loop that will inform you the micro movements that you need to improve until you get perfection, right? It's impossible to get something really correctly without leveraging this brain hack of the feedback loop. Even if you're thinking that's very hard what you're doing, even if you're not receiving a lot of results or perceiving a lot of results, trust this brain hack is almost an automatic mode. It's where AI and human brains are very similar. Through repetition, we start to incorporate what we're trying to achieve, and that creates a true learning, a true knowledge that will propel you forward. My son is learning violin, and as he is struggling with his violin and repeating the things, and by the way, if you have a kid learning violin, it takes a lot of faith in the repetition cycle. But I see the little guy improving. Even though he's not noticing, I am observing outside the feedback loop of the repetition, and I'm noticing the progress, right? So very important to use in your advantage. You're doing something very hard, you're not seeing progress. Well, trust the feedback loop of brain hack. Trust that this will allow you to incorporate what you're learning fairly easily. It's a wonderful brain hack, it works very well, and the best part of it, as long as you trust the process, it will work. You don't even have to do a lot to make it work. All right, are you ready? Now, hack number 6, act before you are. So different than faking till you make it, because faking till you make it, you're using imitation, right? You're trying to imitate something. You're consciously aware that you're not doing it or that you're not completely on the ball there. You're learning something new and you're faking it. When you act before you are, you're leveraging the commitment with a new step of your journey, with a new thing that you want to learn, and you're using that almost like a hat, like in the Indiana Jones. You're throwing the hat, so after you throw the hat, you jump and dive after it, right? You are literally throwing yourself over the fence and just going for it, right? So, example, you want so much to get a promotion in your job and you're fearful that you don't have the skill sets, but then there is an opening for it and people are applying for the promotion. Without thinking too much, you apply for the promotion and you commit yourself to this course of action, right? So you don't have the skills, but the very fact that you commit, if you start acting on it, if you take the first step in that direction, that commitment will trigger your survival instincts and will help you to align. It's very uncomfortable, as most of those brain hacks that I'm mentioning here, but highly effective, right? Don't wait until you're ready so you can start doing something. You need to act before you are. If you wait to be, then to act, it will be too late. You're going to miss the train. You're going to miss the opportunity to create the shift, right? So you can only truly create a big shift if you have a commitment to action. So there you go. If you do the act before you are in the right way, committing yourself, even if you're not faking it, you're honest that you don't know how to do it, but you're taking the responsibility anyway. For example, you want to learn how to bake bread. You never ever have done that, but you already bought the yeast, you bought the flour, you bought all the ingredients, you set the stage. Well, there is no way that you're not going to at least have something closer to your objective. And if you're acting, that will allow you to be in a much easier way. Now, the hack number 7, I call it the mega hack, that rewires everything. Contextual intelligence. So what's happening here is that if you use contextual intelligence as a brain hack, you're going to achieve 10 times more brain power for achieving whatever you want, just leveraging what is around you in the context that you are. That works beautifully with AI and ChatGPT and those AI assistants. That also works with your own environment, physical environment. Let me give you a concrete example. how this brain hack works. If you establish a context that connects you to the next level you want to achieve, the new skill set, for example, you want to learn, say, the language, a new language, like we are using an example, and then you get new books in that language, you find a playlist in YouTube or Spotify that you like in the language, you prepare yourself to travel to that place, and you have objects that reminds you of the language in your home, your bedroom, your office. You start to create a context that will rewire your brain to pay a lot of attention to things connected to that new language. Same thing, if you want to open a new business and you are learning using ChatGPT and you are, for example, investigating a business plan, you are putting together a digital marketing strategy. When you start to use the leverage of an AI system to access multiple times faster what you could do in a normal Google search, the things that you want to work, to know. By the way, if you have ChatGPT subscription, give it a shot in the deep research. It works like a charm. It's very highly effective. You're going to leverage the contextual intelligence, that is the next step in terms of intelligence, to your favor. And you're going to achieve much faster what you're looking for to achieve. This is considered nowadays the next step, even of intelligence, period. We are coming from a paradigm of a moment that intelligence was cognitive. We are coming from a paradigm that intelligence was cognitive. And we are going to a paradigm in that intelligence is contextual. It's not about you knowing the thing, but being in a context that allows you to access what you need to know instantaneously, right? Who is going to be more competent, say, for example, as a creator or a marketeer? The person that knows things or the person that can access in real time everything that everybody else knows? That's basically the approach of contextual intelligence. It's a very powerful brain hack that essentially will give you superpowers. So if you haven't set yourself up with an AI assistant, I really recommend you to do it now, because people that are using this brain hack of the contextual intelligence through AI as a leverage, they are taking off. And people that are not with implementing that shift in their own lives, probably they will be far behind in terms of capacity of doing things, right? But if you don't want to go to the AI route, no problem. Use the contextual intelligence as your own environment. Set yourself for success. Set your environment with the elements of the things that you want to learn, and you're going to see the contextual intelligence also working as a brain hack in your favor. If you like this video, you can subscribe if you want to, but I'll ask you something else. I want you to start applying those things, because the shift is real. We are in the middle of a huge transformation of everything that we know, and now is the right time for you to implement the shift, for you to use those brain hack leverage and essentially transform how you do things in your life and achieve your own objectives. So I'll welcome you to this shift, and I see you in the next episode.